Hey everybody, this is Steve Moyzak from Mo Life Coaching. Today we're going to be looking at burnout, how to identify burnout and also how to deal with burnout. Stay tuned. The first thing to do really when looking at burnout is to identify burnout. So there's some key signs that you should be looking out for, not just for yourself, but people that you care about, partners, friends, family, anything like that. So the first one is exhaustion. Often what happens when it really starts to become noticeable that this person is very, very tired constantly, whether they've had an 8-hour sleep or not, they get to work, they're tired, they leave work, they're tired, at lunchtime, they're just not at the level that they should be. The second one is you often become overwhelmed. So what can happen is when you generally do your day tasks, the person that is feeling overwhelmed, or if it's yourself, then you start to being unable to process certain pieces of information that should be pretty standard for yourself because it's becoming too much. Multitasking does become very, very difficult. Another side to following on from that is becoming lonely. Because you are that overwhelmed and tired, you start to feel that loneliness sensation where no one can help you. You don't know who to turn to. You feel like if you go to anyone else, it might be a show of weakness or might damage you in some way. So there's 3 key areas you really need to look out for. Another one which people don't often see as obvious is escape fantasies. Now what I mean by this is things such as daydreaming. You think about alternative solutions to get you out of your sticky predicament. For example, you may be at your desk or maybe at home and you might just be losing time because you're thinking about other matters that could make things easier for you in a simple solution, but not necessarily rationally. You start thinking of things that generally you want to happen but you know will or can't happen. So it's one to definitely look out for. And the 2 last ones are becoming agitated and irritable. It's a real key sign that the person that you notice may be suffering with burnout, or if this is for yourself, you become short with a lot of people. Things that don't normally get to you are starting to really wind you up and you start to get angry more than you have done previously. And the last one is, which is really common, again, not a lot of people notice it, you often become ill. Being unwell is a really common thing of burnout because you're due to the stress levels, anxieties, the pressures that are on you or the person that you're dealing with. Their immune system lowers, the blood pressure goes up, immune system goes down, they're more susceptible to catching illnesses and making themselves ill. If you feel that you have some of the signs that I just mentioned, there's a couple of things that you can do. Some are simple, some take a little bit more time, but they're all easily accessible. The first one is exercise. It's probably the one that most people realise they should do, but they often don't, because what happens is when you exercise, it can help lower blood pressure, which can help with things like anxiety. You also release endorphins, which is a great antidepressant, and it could be anything such as a beasting session down the gym, or if it's just a walk. Whatever is accessible to you and you have time for, do it. Make sure you do make time for this because it's a really important point. And following on from that is a balanced diet. Again, you probably hear it oh so often, the fact that you need to eat right, but what people don't realise is there's certain things in your diet that can be seen as an antidepressant, such as omega-3. So by having a correct diet and one that's relevant to you, and a really key and important point here is the fact that everyone is different. There's certain things that I can't have compared to other people, so you need to make sure that you know what they are. I've done allergy testing because I found out for me that caffeine is a big no-no. It puts me through the roof, anxiety issues. I've actually had a bit of a meltdown because of having too much caffeine. Dairy is another one for me, it just doesn't agree with me. So what you can do is find out what's best for you and make sure that your diet is correct for your needs. The next one is, I've actually done a video about this previously, but it's all about getting a good amount of sleep and a real Practice good sleeping habits, so such as don't having blue lights, going at blue light before you go to bed, which stimulates your brain, making sure you go to bed at the same time most days and giving yourself an actual adequate amount of sleep needed, especially those who have got kids out there. Sleep is hugely important. It makes a huge amount of difference towards your moods, your health. Make sure that you get your sleep right and what's necessary for you. Now, there's a couple more points I would advise, and the first one is, if from a working situation, when you leave work, make sure you've left your work behind. So what a lot of people do, and I've been guilty of this, is when you come home or you finish work for the day, you get on the sofa, you switch your laptop back on, and you generally don't switch off until you go to bed. But by that time, you're still wound up, your brain's still active, it's still stimulated by work activities, you've got a lot of work on your mind, stress levels might be up. What you need to do is separate your work time to your social time. Make sure as well that when you discuss work with your partners, you allocate a bit of time for it. So you shouldn't have a time where you're meeting up with friends or family that you just consistently talk with work. You need to give physically yourself a rest, and also emotionally. You need to let your brain switch off from work, to let it relax and take some time for itself. And the last one is probably the one that's ignored the most, and that's asking for help. If you get to the point where you feel really overwhelmed, you feel that you just can't cope with the current situation you're in, ask for help. Now, a lot of people find this really, really difficult because they don't want to put the burden on people that they care about. They don't want to talk to their wives, partners, family, because it makes them worry. You also don't want to go to your boss because it may feel that it might put you in a bit of a predicament. You might feel that they might look at you differently because you've asked for that little bit of help. But if a manager is worth their salt, they will help you, and plus they'll probably been through it themselves, because getting to senior levels within a career, you have to go through some of these highs and lows. It's really, really common, so don't be afraid to ask for them, or go to HR if it feels like something that you need really help with. A lot of companies have plans in place which can help you. If you don't feel like you can talk to someone at home, you may be embarrassed by this or feel that embarrassed. There isn't a need to be, but there's people you should be able to talk to. So approach a doctor, go to a psychological professional, or even a coach like myself, life and career coach. We're not psychologists, but we can help you with coping strategies, NLP strategies that may give you small changes, but enough to help you get back on your path and deal with not going through burnout. So that's strategies for dealing with burnout, and also how to identify burnout. It's really common, especially in this day and age with remote working. People feel a lot more pressure. If you're in a high pressure job as well, especially performance related, it can creep up on you without you even knowing and change who you are. So if you want more advice on this, send me a message below or contact me via my website, which is www.molife.co.uk, or grab me on email, which is steve@molife.co.uk. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, but I'm here to help.